Welcome to our summer 2026 Atom Software updates. My name is Mark Preco, president and founder of Atom Software, and it's my pleasure to do this demonstration. So this update, we focused on trying to make Atom simpler to use, more user friendly. And what we mean by that is we kind of uh, try to simplify a lot of the drawers where you upload a document, you add a new client. So we were hiding some of the functionality in accordion drawers that you don't use very often. And the easiest way for me to show you that is just go through this presentation, and I'll display them as we go through here. But that's kind of what we were focusing in for this summer update. To begin, again, you should have an outline in front of you, but the login page, so when you log in after we do the update, you're going to notice if you're a single site office, you're no longer going to see a drop down to make a site selection because you couldn't make a site selection anyways. If you're a multi-site office, you still will have that site selection, but we're just trying to clean up the clutter, items that aren't needed on pages, just to make it a cleaner, more user-friendly look for your staff and your clients. If you're using a lobby information screen, to track your incoming clients, either having appointments, walk-ins, or virtual appointments, you can now add the call queue count to the top of that screen. So if you're using Adam's voice system, if that's helpful for you. Self check-in screen, if you're using our check-in screen, we introduced a QR code check-in last year. Worked very well in our office. We made some improvements to it, both if you're using both the physical scanner or the cameras. And I'm going to show you that real quick here. So this would be the page, what it could look like if you have both the option of manual check-in or QR code. If you click on the QR code, and this is where I'm using the physical scanner, we just made it more pleasing to the eye, make it easier for your clients to understand what they need to do, and they just scan their phone or their piece of paper to scan that QR code in. So, and we have something similar to this if it's the camera too. Close that. All right, next here, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and go right into Atom. So on the home page up here, the header, we've removed a lot of the fields like site. If you're a single site office, you won't even see this anymore. Some of the other fields that were displayed, we're now putting them under the filters and tools. I'm going to go to my other site here and show you what I mean. So we used to have data management button. Now this is your data management where you can track the productivity, office workflow, etc. If you're importing data from Crosslink or Drake, this is where you're going to find the button now, and the view date to display your events is now hidden in here too. So we're just hiding items that aren't used very often to make it easier for your new staff members to come on board, just less clutter, and they're probably never going to use those items anyways. Let me switch back over to my demo site. Moving on to page 2 of the outline, office workflow. So right here, we've changed it from office events to office workflow, made more sense. We've also removed events throughout the software, and we just call it now status. So it's everything's related is now referred to as status, and events have been removed. The user section moved here. So if I come down here, say I go to checked in, I used to have something up here that would have the user field. Now that user, if you want to filter by user, you'd come over here to filters, select filter again, and now here's your user, and you can select however it is. So if it was, say, tax preparation, you'd probably want an individual to have it filtered by that individual, but that's where you're going to make that selection instead of showing it up here. One more thing I want to point out is we did this also to help it more on the mobile version. So now if I didn't have a site here, that would even cleaner yet. So we just cleaned everything up again to remove fields that aren't needed. Getting back here to the outline, name column now displays. If I come down here to my status, awaiting RSX, if I have a suffix, junior, senior, third, it's now going to display in the name column. checked in right here. This is also identifying the intake along with the appointment, and we actually added the highlighting. You can color code those. Notifications column over here. This is tracking, as the auto notifications go out. If you have those disabled, if one of your staff members disabled the notifications, you'll have a red X, so you indicating that. In my acknowledgement codes here, we're now adding the tax return form type. So 1040, Michigan 1040, City LN 1040. So if it was a partnership or S corp, it would show the form number there. Document status column, account document status right here. This is to indicate if we're done uploading all the documents, so you can begin working on the tax return. This is the icon that would display here on the home page. And as we get further in the presentation, I'm going to show you how that actually, where you indicate that they're done uploading. Monthly, daily reoccurrence override. If you need to set up reoccurring statuses to reoccur like every 7 days, 1430, which will probably be for your payroll or bookkeeping, you can actually do overrides. You can do those overrides either in the client file or from here, and you just would, check the clients you want to override, come over here to filters and actions, and then you'd select override here status fields, override options again, and this is your first introduction here as I'm showing. These are the accordions that are on these drawers now to hide fields that aren't used very often. And this is where you could override, which is like your admin setting right here for recurrence. User overview. I'll go to my home page here, assign tasks. We have filters. Now we've combined filters, and we have filters and actions button here. Before, I think we had filters and we had actions. Now it's just one button to, again, to remove the clutter. An urgent task, if you have an urgent task, let me demonstrate how it would display on the card. So right here, if I want to make this, I select the edit pencil, say my priority is urgent, I save it. Now I go to my home page. Now it's going to flash, so I can dig in here to the inside my assigned task and see what's urgent. I'll go ahead and remove that. Save it here. Appointments, my appointments and my work schedule, I can now filter for tomorrow. Before it used to just be, if I click on here, it used to be just the today, next 7 days, 30. Now you can filter for tomorrow. My office inbox right down here. We've added on the client portal, we've added some items to the subject heading to make it easier so you guys know what's coming incoming. For example, down here at the bottom. So for e-documents, if you're using DocuSeal, it'll tell me if it's the primary, if it's a spouse signing, what they're signing, and for what year. We have something similar for when they make payments with Adam Pay. It'll tell me what year they're paying for, so you don't have to guess. You can easily identify it and go right in and move it to the next level wherever you to move it in the flow. Prospect portal right here. If you add a prospect from the home page right here and create a client, basically create a prospect, the phone number will now, it defaulted before to go in the daytime field inside the client file. It'll now default to the cell phone field. So then you could quickly send them a text to try to win them over as a client. That was a change we made there. Search, I go to my search tab. All we did here is we added a new filter, account category. So you can now search by the account category. New contact. Let me just do a search for somebody quick here. If I want to add a new contact, we've added it's appointment intake type, and you can make this required in admin if you'd like. Search results. I guess I didn't have to do that. I could have. And the intake type, I think this was called appointment type before. We changed the name to intake type, and then we have the color coding there. Punch clock, if you're using the billable punch clock. Get to my billable punch clock here. You can now, we added a predefined note. You can set that up in admin if that is helpful for you. Calendars, made a lot of changes to make it more clean on the calendars. If I go to my appointments here, if I needed to add an appointment, we reduced the fields. We basically didn't reduce them, but we've hid the fields that we don't believe are needed every time you make an appointment to make it easier and quicker so you can actually schedule an appointment. So you just click on these accordions, and then this is where you're going to find everything. But before, it used to be one long drawer. So we've done that throughout the software. We've hidden fields that aren't used very often. Not saying they're never used, but they're not used very often to make it easier for your average user, your new user, for training purposes. The check-in button, let me go ahead and open this up. Here we go. So check-in, we've highlighted, change the color, delete, check-in. Also, if you need to actually go to a client file, it used to be a button down here, but we had too many buttons, too much clutter. So now to link to a client, you just click on the icon next to their name. Kind of makes sense as opposed to a button. That's how you're going to get into the client file. If you hover over, it's going to now display the client's name. I guess that was a fix we had. If it's a new appointment, we go over to a new date here. This is a new client appointment right here. Now it's going to display first name, last name, consistent with how we do our existing clients. And if you look at the actual calendar itself, it's a much cleaner looking calendar. There's less clutter. We've removed a lot of the items that were over here under the calendar, and they're now displayed under the filter and actions. This is the same for the work schedule, for the appointment schedule. If you find yourself looking for something you can't find, most likely it's going to be over here in the right-hand side under a filter and actions button. So from here you can, these are my reports that used to be down here, my notifications that I was sending out, they used to be down here in links. You can change copy appointments from here. This is now the copy used to be at the bottom. It was nothing very pleasing. It wasn't easy to do. We've simplified the copying. So we copy the appointment schedule. Now it's a drawer over on this side. Or if you want to just copy, if I come down here, more actions, and I just have to make a copy of this appointment, I would do it from here. But we just simplified the whole copy functionality in the calendar. New intake summary over here. So because as I demonstrate more in the presentation, how we're going to track the intake, like did the client drop the items off physically in the office? Did they mail them to you? Did they upload them to you? Are they an appointment, a virtual appointment? So to know more about your office, now you're going to be able to track all that stuff, and it's all going to be reported right here. So you can see today's intake. And I'm going to go over and show you, I'm going to go into our live site here. And if I were to go back, let's go to say April 15th. So I can actually see we took in 151, we had 16 new clients, 135 returning, and this is a breakout of their appointments, or did they come in, did they drop the item, here's the appointments here, did they drop items off, did they upload items, were they walk-ins? So a lot of good information to know about your office, how your clients are coming to you. Are they using the portal more? Are they still coming in person? But now you can actually track all this very easily. And we even have it, if I go to my filters, now we have a summary. You can do it by date range. So if I were to put a date in here, let me go back to, I'm not gonna go that far back. I'll go to 26, April, let's just say it's April 15th, and I hit apply. This report now is gonna break it out by day, so you can actually go back and see every day, how are my clients coming to me? Are they coming to the portal? Are they coming in person? But now this is great for planning purposes for the next year. But just to know, know your client, know how they're coming to you, how they're bringing the business to you. But that's all done now on the appointment calendar. You can track that stuff. Moving on to page 3, the work schedule. As I just said, it's very, we just simplified everything. The work schedule. Now, when you create a schedule, add a work schedule, it's very simple, very clean, very fast. We just hit items that you don't use very often. Same way with if you actually use our availability schedule. I mean, look how simple that is. Again, we're hiding items that you don't need to see, the phone numbers. You don't need to see that. I mean, if you do, you just click on additional information. Phone agent. I'm gonna come up here to my phone agent. You can now record calls right on the fly, or you can record all your calls if you'd like. So if I just go ahead and dial out, dial this number, and then right down here, start there. I'm gonna go ahead and hang up and wrap that up. And then I'm gonna show you later in the presentation where you can actually, so that's how you record it. If you do it on the fly, again, in admin, you can set up so all your calls are recorded. And then inside the client file, you'll be able to retrieve and play that recording. And I'll show you where that is later in this presentation. Reports, nothing big here. I'm just going through if you actually pull it up here, I guess, since I'm not going to jump into the report. And I'm on page 3. So we just added begin and end dates to this prepare report. The wage detail, if you guys are actually using Adam to calculate payroll for your company, you can actually, now you have an employer match. If you're doing a 401k, you can have the employer match. It'll calculate on the wage detail. Upload report, we've added the upload date. That's been added. The admin pages here. Account categories, you can now filter by business type. Batch messages, this is kind of important. If you're using batch email messaging, trying to blast a lot of your clients or prospects, you have to have, you need to sign up with us with SendGrid. It's $100 a month, because then you can have incoming email. So right now, if you didn't sign up with SendGrid, you just have outgoing, and your clients can't send you an email back. The problem with that is if you're blasting all these prospects or clients that have bad email addresses, that's that's giving our email system a bad rating, and eventually we'll get blocked. So by having it incoming, it'll tell you if those are bad emails, and you can clean up your database. But without having the incoming email, you never know that, and it's hurting our email system. So right now, if you want to continue to do email blasts and you haven't signed up for the SendGrid, you need to sign up. Otherwise, with this release, you will not have that ability to send an email blast anymore with batch messages. Users, the tax reporting inside the user page, we just added this employer match if you're actually using Adam to do your payroll, and it's again just for your company. I don't think many of you guys are doing that. We changed some terminology and setup in admin. The biggest one is these event statuses. So as I said, we're not going to call anything an event anymore in Adam. Now it's just status. There's not two names for the same thing. So it's not event status. It's just going to be status. So event status / office events has now been renamed to status workflow, status message type, status category. And where you're going to find that is in, so I'm going to show you just because you're going to get lost if you don't see it. So before, the events were under admin category types right here. Now they've been moved to core configuration. And here it is right here, status category, status message type, status workflow. The big thing you're always going to go to is status workflow, because this is where you're changing, all your office statuses. I'm not going to say events, your office statuses. This is the main table right here. So that's where you're going to find that now. We also moved before the e-documents, they were down in your upload types, combined in upload types. Now, because we've expanded that, the e-documents so much, it now has its own tables. So e-document types and e-document templates, and those are found under core configuration. I'm going to go over e-documents a little later, and just to give you a heads up, hopefully you guys are all coming to our user conference later in September. We're having a complete section just dedicated to e-documents, how to use it, how to set up templates, so that when you leave the user conference, you're going to be good to go on e-documents. But anyway, just wanted to give a plug to our user conference. Client portal. Let me go into a file here, John Adams. I'm going to go to 2025 tax prep. Oh, let me show you one more thing here. This drop down. These are, as I'm going to show you further in here, but the category headings. So right here, business type. This is what I was talking about with category headings, and you can put ordinals on this, so you have them display whatever order you'd like. But I put business, and I have my tax prep right here. That's why when you see this inside the client file, when I hit the drop down, there's a category right there if you'd want that. Again, you don't need to set any of these things up. They're all going to be done in admin. I'm going to show you at the end of this presentation. I have a whole admin setup guide just for category headings and ordinals, because there are so many of them if you want to set them up. If you don't, your software will just be exactly the way it's been. Status card, action renamed from view. Let me go into my portal here, view client portal. I'm not sure if it's going to show. Oh, perfect, it did. So my status card, which is going to tell me, what the status is, what in the workflow for the client. You can see, the client can see this on the portal. This used to say view, now it says update. No big change there. Just wanted to let you know that. Appointment card. Here's my appointment. We now added the time zone, so Eastern. So now, because everyone's doing virtual clients, not everybody's in the same time zone anymore. So when you had the appointment card here, it would display, it may not be, they might think it's their time when it's really your time. So this is going to be, this is your office time zone. And this is set up in your sites page. So you'd have to go to admin sites, and then you'd select the time zone so it would show up here on the portal in the calendar. Page 4, the eDocs. Again, I'm on the portal here. So e-sign documents, it's going to highlight in yellow the one that's unopened, so not finished, so it's easier for the client to see. Uploads, when I go back to here, I go to my upload tax documents. If you have this turned on, we have the document status. We made some changes to this page right here to make it more user friendly for your client. You have to turn this on in admin if you'd like, where your clients will tell you if they're done uploading or not. Here they can select no, more documents coming, yes, ready to begin. So if I say no, more documents coming, it's going to highlight this in yellow right here. It shows when it's last updated. If I switch this back to ready for you to begin, this is what the client sees, and of course you're seeing it on your side inside the portal. So we introduced this last year. We just made some changements to it to make it more user friendly for your clients. We've also made changes for it inside the client file, which I'll demonstrate shortly. Down here, this changed a little bit, made it more user friendly for them. Nothing major for them to upload a document. The status page. Again, if I click on status here, we made this page more user friendly for your clients. If I switch over here to tax prep, it says your tax return has been submitted. We're waiting for IRS. Go back here to 23. Your turn's complete. Here we are. So the message is just clearer for the clients. So they understand what's going on with their return or whatever business type you're working in. Excuse me. Let me get here to payments page. So if you're using Atom Pay and they make a payment, they can now edit the payment if you'd like them to. And then they hit next. Of course, they're going to pay with credit card or ACH. If you want them to be able to edit the payment amount, you have to turn that on in admin, because the default is they can't edit it, but you can turn that on in admin if you'd like them to. Going inside the client file here, this is where we made some lot of changes, a lot of user interface changes for you. So over here on the sidebar, we're going to focus on the sidebar. We have these little separator lines, not just make it more visual pleasing to you guys, make it easier for you to see what's going on the sidebar. Dashboard up here, we moved the client category icons up here along with, disabled SMS, disabled emails. This is up here on the dashboard line. You can also expand or collapse. So before that was a line. Now we just put the arrows here so you can expand and collapse that sidebar. The client name, if I hover over that, now we have these tool tips all along in the sidebar. So it makes it easier so you don't have to actually go into the page to get this information. A lot of information, important information you can see by just hovering over that item to make it quicker for you. So in this case, I can see primary, spouse, secondary, if I have their email, their cell phone, all that. So you know if you have to capture that or not. The profile, we changed the name from name/address. We thought it was more appropriate to be called profile. And now we have the city, state, and time zone right here displayed. And if you hover over that, it's going to give you the full address. Again, you don't need to go into the file to see that. Appointments, we've added the requested appointment initials. So in this case, DM. So before it would just show the time, date, and what the appointment type. And again, if I hover over that, it's going to tell me what it is. Now we have the requested preparer. Business type right here, again, because I have a category, business is showing, not just tax prep. You can do that, but those are the category headings. We move the year over to the right to make it easier for you to see. And then now we've added the intake type. So again, because we're tracking the intake type, or you can track it. It's up to you if you want to or not. In this case, it's a virtual. If I switch over to say 2023, there was no intake. 2024, there it is. This person was a walk-in. So this is by year. So every year I can see how is that client coming to me. So do they make appointments? Do they just walk in? Do they drop off? Do they upload? Now you can track all that by client, by year, and then you can run reports just to know more about your office. And of course, where you do that is inside here under intake type right there. Status, go back to my 2025 tax prep. Status, again, if I hover over this is just going to show me my current status and then the history. It's only going to give me the last 3 statuses, not all of them, because it could be a huge tooltip. It just would be kind of overwhelming. So we only show the last 3. It has how long it's been sitting there, and it has the initials, who created it. Balance, this is kind of a nice one. Hover over the balance. It's going to give me the current year. It's going to show all other years, link clients, and then the total. You can quickly see that. Task notes right here. Again, my tooltip. It's going to show me my open task and my closed task, how long it's been sitting there open, and then again, who created it. Retention. This one I like. Hover over that. One, it's got my alert icon here, so that means I need to look. It's highlighted in yellow. So we've always had it highlighted in yellow if there's open years. I found that my staff kind of overlooked that. So we put a red alert icon here. That means they need to look into these open years and see what's going on. if we need to finish something up for the client. If you hover over this, again, I don't need to go to the page. It's a shortcut. I can hover over this and see what were my open years. And I also can see, how long the client's been with us, what was the first year, and then how did they come to us. So I always like to know, client's been with me 10, 15 years. How did they originally come to me? Who referred them, or did they come through the internet? Whichever. But anyway, you hover over that, you can see that. Moving on to page 5, account docs. Again, I hover over that. I can see what upload types I have, how many I have, and the document status icon. This is what I was talking about on the home page. So this is my icon telling me done uploading. And I get that when I click on the account documents. Here it is right here. Here's my status. This is how I'm doing it. If I flick this over to still uploading, it's going to turn red. Done uploading, it's going to turn green. So nice thing about this is it's year specific. So it's not going to be for the clients. It's for the year. So the business type and the year. So if you want to use this to help manage your document flow so that your staff knows when you're done uploading, because I'm not sure how you're doing it right now, especially if you have virtual remote preparers. Again, this is on the home page, so they know when all the documents are in, they can start working on the tax return. Let's see here. Now, again, you don't have to use this. If you don't use this, this is how it's going to default. Select status. If you don't use it, nothing changes other than this will display right here. You can't hide this, but you don't have to actually use it. So it would be up to you in your office. Perm docs, same thing down here. Let me switch over to, this 2025. When the client uploads, so if I were to come back to my dashboard, I'm gonna go ahead and upload a document, upload tax return. Ready to begin. I'm gonna browse, I'm gonna grab a W-2. I'm gonna upload it. So now when I come back into here, hit OK. And I refresh my page. So now I have, so 2, Perm docs, that's just telling me the client told me they're done uploading. The account docs, my employee, the staff member, is saying when we can begin because they're really done uploading. So just because they're done uploading from the portal doesn't mean I have all the documents in. So when I come in here in my Perm docs, it's going to show me that the client told me that they were done uploading. So that's what this icon is right here. So there's 2. And once I move this, I'm going to demonstrate that I can do it, I guess. If I were to move a document, say I move this over to account docs right here, 25, name it. Oh, did I not select one? I thought I did. Oh, sorry. Let's try that again. Move uploads. Okay, so I moved it and I can click clear this out right here, and I can click this is my status log. This is going to show me, so how many times did the client tell me they were done uploading, and then when I hit reset here, that means I cleared it out. But this is the main thing, what you need to look at. This is when your staff is saying everything's done uploading. So there's twofold here. Perm docs is telling me the client told me that they're done uploading. This one's telling me someone in my staff told me we're done uploading. All right. Communication summary table right here. I don't know if you guys knew this or not. If you click on communications, we just made this a little more user friendly. Again, this is just going to track all your communications, calls, emails, fax, portal messages, everything about the client. And then it tracks how much billable time has elapsed and how much actual time has elapsed. How long has it sat in that status? And then of course we put a dollar amount associated with that. So that's what this table is all about. We made some enhancements to that. Link clients, again, you hover over it, the tooltip, it's going to tell you who's the link client and if they have portal access or not. Client file pages, some of these I just kind of went over, but I'll do it again. Quick actions. We made changes to our quick actions, made it easier to find things, more organized. We've removed some items that didn't need to be there. We've added, you can pay with terminal really quick. So we'll make it quick that you can go ahead and send the payment right to your terminal if you're using Atom Pay. Schedule appointment, we had that. We added referrals. So referrals just takes us to the referral page. So if you're tracking who's referring clients to you, before it was under a links button, kind of hidden. Many of you didn't even know where it was. So this actually would take me right to my page and I can track how many people this client has referred to me. That's what that is. We just added that, made it easier for you guys to find. Profile, we go into my profile over here page. The zip code was not working. Now it does work. If you enter a zip code, it'll pre-fill the city and the state. Links button, that's what I was talking about, the links. We've removed that button here, and because we found not many of you guys were even using it, and then there's other quicker ways to get to that link page than having that button. So again, we just removed the clutter from the page. 6-digit scrambled password. Now, if you send a scrambled password, before it used to be numbers and characters, now it's just numbers to make it easier for the client. Because sometimes an I could be mistaken for a 1. So now we just figured it's better just to use digits. Perm notes. Tried to make this make more sense. So instead of beat, now it says flag note. Show when client checks in. Before it said show in lobby screen. Well, now not all you guys are using the lobby status anymore. So now it just shows it's going to be when they check in, it could display this note could display. Account information. I think we kind of covered this already. If I go to my overview, account information, we renamed this. It used to be appointment type. Now it says intake type, more appropriate. Account categories over here. If you're using account categories and if you actually do a rollover to next year for all your clients, the account category will roll forward for you. Status. I come into my status page here. And actually, I'm gonna go to my quick action. So of course I can add a status from here or from here. So if I hit add status, we made some changes, as you can see, to this drawer. Again, most of the drawers all have accordions now, just to make it cleaner, quicker, only focusing on the fields you use majority of the time, like 80% of the time. So if I select, let's say pending client. So I have a notification here, additional info needed, tax return reminder. I can select, if I click on this, I can actually select who's going to receive this notification. So is it going to the primary, is it going to a spouse, or is it going to secondary? So that's kind of nice. Now the default is always going to the primary as a notification to them. Here's my predefined note, just to let you know, I'm going to show you this. This is kind of our, again, these are my category headings and my ordinal. This is something you guys can set up if you like this. I like it. I think it's easier, especially for my new staff that I'm going to bring on. This makes it easier to train people. Where am I at here? Status. Reoccurrence override by days and months. Again, I got an override down here, just like I talked about on the home page. You can go ahead and set up the reoccurrence overrides. This will override what we have set up in admin. Again, this is more for my payroll bookkeeping clients that have statuses that repeat every so many days or months. Beat. So this used to, I could actually have this like a heartbeat. Now we just called it flag note. Again, makes more sense, easier to understand. Complete, the status complete. If I go to, I think I have it in 2024. Nope, 2023. And I'm gonna uncheck this. So this is a completed file. Before, this didn't display, it was actually hidden. Now it's going to show up right here. Just make it easier on for your staff. Organized by category. That's new. So now if you guys use the category headings, which you'd set up for your statuses, they'll display here. You can organize things. I think it's more useful if you were to go to your, say, let's go to payroll and go into a client category. We can organize by status. I can organize by category. So again, it might be more useful for your bookkeeping or your payroll tax business or your businesses. Keep in my assigned tasks. If I hit the edit pencil, assignments. Again, these are under an accordion here. This used to say keep assigned. My staff always got confused what that even meant. So we tried to make it easier to understand. So keep in my assigned task, you check that box. And of course, that means if your event or your status, your status is closed out, has an end date, it still would show in that person's my assigned task, whoever you select here in the assigned to. And also, I want to just point out that we added, this is overall with all our drawers. If you have anywhere where you can assign a task to somebody, we now have 2 columns. So if you have more staff, it's easier to see more of your staff members. And then we also have a separator there to make it easier, quicker to do things, to record statuses and assign tasks. Balance transactions. Let me go in here to back to Tax Prep 2025. I go to my balance page. I want to make a payment. If I go ahead and make a payment, say it's cash, check, or credit, you can now set up so that all the balances will display. So anything linked, any prior years, just so you don't miss anything. Before it was only doing it if we were paying by credit card using Atom Pay. Now, if you want to uncheck these, just uncheck them. I can uncheck them all if I'd like, but this is all set up in admin. So you don't have to have this show all outstanding balances. And if you wanted to remove it, right down here under other options, I can just check that box. All right, and that'll be back to the way it normally is. So I think that's very helpful. Make sure you don't miss anything if they owe you from prior years. Let's see. Oh, we also changed the name from, used to say multi-year. It makes more sense to say outstanding balances. So moving on to page 6. Atom Pay, made some changes to Atom Pay. I hit the drop down. We've cleaned this up, more organized. So take payment, management, and history. So this is my, payment link log. Recurring payments, that's new. So now you can go, if I click on recurring payments, I can set up a recurring payment from inside of Atom. Before, the only way I could set up a recurring payment is if it was in iPOS. Now I can do it inside of Atom. I just have to first make the payment inside of Atom before I can do a recurring payment. So if anyone has recurring payments already set up in iPOS, unfortunately, you're going to have to cancel those, and then you're going to have to make a payment inside of Atom so Atom knows the card number or the bank account number. Otherwise, there's no way of doing it. So I've made a payment inside of Atom for this client. And so now I can pick, in this case, it was Discover. And I just go ahead and set up the amount for reoccurring, the frequency, and then, set up number of payments if I'd like. Everything you could do like inside the iPOS portal, now I can do inside of Atom, make it easier for you to manage this. And go ahead and close this. Let me see, recurring payments, payment link. So the payment link right in here, send payment link. You can now change the expiration date. It used to be expired, I think, every 2 days. Now you can change it to whatever you'd like it to be. I believe up to maybe 30 days, but that's all set up in your admin setting. Terminal name, if you use one of our terminals to process in-person payments, you can rename it to whatever you'd like it to say, and that's set up in Atom or in admin. So I go ahead and select in my device right here. So depends on how many terminals you have, you can change the name easy. Before you could change it in iPOS, now you can change it in Atom. EF data. Okay, nothing big there. We just made some fixes. I guess we had some issues going on where the acknowledgement codes weren't showing up on top for the state and city if it was an A. 1040X, IRS changed the link of where's my amendment refund. Now we've corrected that, so that's working for you now. Task notes right down here. You can now set up reoccurring tasks notes, just like you can do reoccurring statuses. You can do the same thing. You just do that in admin. So if you want one to reoccur every 7 days, 30 days, whatever you'd like, you can do that. The all years table, I click on retention. Here's my all years. It's going to display anything that's open. I mean, I can always select all years, but if I only focus on anything that's open, it's going to be based on status. Before it used to be on if I had open documents, if I had open task notes. Now it's strictly going to be tied to my open status. Also, we have now the statuses are highlighted based on how you have it set up in admin. See here. Where am I at here? Task notes, all years. Okay, sorry, lost track. Account docs. So I already kind of went over this with you. Account docs, this is my new document status drop down. E-documents. These pages have changed quite a bit, made it more user-friendly. These buttons have changed. So now if I hit add, I go to e-document. E-document's going to be like my 8879. E-template's going to be like your engagement letter, anything permanent. When I select on e-documents, this should be easier for you. Now, if I select, say 8879, you can set it up so that your signature settings automatically will be checked. Like second party, if I were to go ahead and say I have taxpayer and spouse, I can automatically check those KBA validations, so you don't have to do it every time. I can also uncheck them if I'd like, but this is all going to be set up in your admin. This is nothing new. If I hit save, this is nothing new. The page is just cleaner. So going through the other steps, they're just cleaner pages. Should make it easier for you guys to do e-signing. And let me go into account docs real quick. I want to show you something. When I go to my add and upload, if you look, this is a lot cleaner. We removed a lot of the fields that you don't have to use very often. And if you want to, just come down here and this is where they're at. Right here, we're hiding the e-signature, e-sign client, e-sign spouse. The reason we're doing that is because now that we're using DocuSeal to capture e-signatures, we found that it's better. It's more user friendly to the client. I believe it's easier for us overall. It's easier, and I know you just check a box here, but we can't support both of them. It's just too hard. So I mean, you still have the functionality here, but just so you know, going into when we do the winter release, we are going to be removing this. So we can't support both, this e-signature functionality and also the DocuSeal. So DocuSeal is much better, has a better audit trail and everything. So these will be removed. So eventually, if you still want to do e-signatures going into next tax season, you will have to use DocuSeal. So just giving you a heads up right now, I'm giving you a warning. You should transition over to DocuSeal because this will be disappearing with the winter release. My perm docs, going into the perm docs. We have a status, I showed this, we have the status log here, so you can track when the client said they uploaded everything and who changed anything. We also we made some changes to move uploads. We cleaned this up, made it easier for you guys. I know there's a lot of information on here, but we actually we're hiding some things that don't get used very often. If you don't have any link clients, this won't even display. All you'll see is this, which is the majority of people probably don't have link clients. So it made it cleaner for you guys to be able to move documents from perm docs to account docs. Call voice, if I go to my calls, this is where the recordings are going to be. So if you record a call, it's going to be displayed right here. All you're going to do is click on this and you can replay that recording. text, if your clients are texting you attachments, before what we had to do is we'd have to download the attachment, then upload it into account uploads. Now you can just check the box here, hit the actions, select copy attachments, and then you can copy it to wherever you want it to go. So it'll still be displayed right here, but this is actually only displays, this is linked to Twilio, and it's only there for 6 months. So once you move it and copy it, it'll be copied permanently into the account docs or wherever you copy it to. Emails, nothing major here. Just if I click on this, we expanded the drawer, so you can see more text. Add a predefined message. If I hit reply, you can create this in admin. So if you wanted to add a predefined message, a generic email is what I called it. So it doesn't actually remove the subject heading. And if you just want to have hello, John, you can put whatever you'd like, but it won't erase the subject. But you set that up in admin. Bad email addresses. We now have something set up. Again, this is to try to help prevent our email being blocked, our outgoing, ATOmanager.com being blocked for outgoing emails. So now if we send any emails to that are bad email addresses, it'll bounce back and it's going to go onto a suppressed page. So it won't hurt our email system anymore. You can remove that if it gets suppressed and it wasn't supposed to. You can always remove that in admin. But just so you know, because we've had issues, a lot of you guys probably are aware of them, where emails weren't going out to your clients anymore, and that was the problem, is because our email was being blocked. All right, so we're trying to prevent that from happening. And what was happening is we had too many of our Atom users sending it to bad email addresses. So then they thought, we were just sending a lot of spam to people. So now we're trying to clean that up, and this is the way we're cleaning it up, and it's been working great. So the portals, I'm on page 7 here. Again, with the predefined portals, you can send one where you don't you have to set up an admin, but you don't change the subject heading if you wanted to send something similar to what I just did for the email. New messages, we're highlighting the subject. So incoming messages here, let me sort this. This is kind of normal. A client might upload 20, 25 documents, and they might send a couple messages too. So it was kind of hard to find. These subjects were kind of blending in, and we might accidentally close something that was actually a message sent to us because it looked like they were just telling us they uploaded a document. So now we're going to highlight, I guess this is highlighted in purple, for anything that is not a document upload. So to make it easier for you guys to see and not miss it. And also if these guys change, if they upload or if you're using the portal's document status, when the client tells you if they've uploaded everything, you will get a message that they just changed that too. So they either said they uploaded everything or they didn't. You're going to get a notification too as a portal message here. Email text notifications can be disabled. So if I hit add and I create a message here and this say I just want to put it on their portal, but I don't want to bombard them with an email and a text telling them I just uploaded things to their portal or sent them a message, I could uncheck this and then I send it and they won't get a notification. So I'm not sure if you'd want to do that or not, because they need to know that they need to go to the portal to retrieve their messages. But if you're sending a lot of items and they're already in there, then you might not want to bombard them with email and text. So that would be how you could do that. It's under other options when you're sending a portal. And that is it for the 26 summer updates. Again, I want to remind you of, one more thing I forgot to point out. We're going to be sending this to you, is the Atom Software Summer 26 Admin Setup Guide. So as I showed you, a lot of the drop-down menus have categories. You can now sort things, with our ordinal. All that is set up in admin. This guide is going to kind of tell you how the category headings work, how you can set that up. Once you set a couple of them up, they're exactly the same for every other one, but there's quite a few of them. All depends on how organized you want your Atom to be in your office. So if I keep going, this kind of gives instructions. Again, it's pretty straightforward. Um, but these are all the different admin pages you'd have to put it on if you want it. So what I would do is look at like what you guys use on a day-to-day basis, and then maybe then you'd want to go ahead and clean up your drop-down menu. So I'd say for sure, let me show you real quick, which I haven't, probably I don't even know if I showed you. When I hit add status, this is very nice. Okay, so you guys are probably aware it's a little bit of a challenge to make sure you pick the right status or event, as we used to call them. Now it's much easier if you have the category headings. So if you've already created your category headings on the home page here, there automatically will be in the drop down under status. If you haven't done so already, I'd strongly encourage you to do it because it does make it a lot easier for your staff to find um, the next status. All right. Also, another nice one I think is under uploads. You know, this is pretty nice. So to set those all up, all you're going to do is follow this guide. It's going to walk you through it. And just to give you guys a heads up, another plug for our user conference coming in end of September is we are actually going to, one, I'm going to do another demonstration of all the updates to make sure you guys understand. But two, we are actually going to dedicate time to get you guys to do these category headings and ordinals. So when you leave with a great Atom package that it's all ready to go. So you don't have to go back home and try to remember what we just taught you. So that's just part of it. We got a lot of other great things that we're going to go through with the user conference too. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to close this up. And again, thank you for your loyalty, and look forward to hopefully seeing you at the user conference, or I'll be talking to you with the winter updates. All right. Thank you.